So let's say मैं एक कंपनी हूँ, अगर मैं अपनी ये ERP रेटिंग करवाता हूँ फ्रॉम दीज रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज एज मेंशन्ड बाय सेबी, व्हाट इज द बेनिफिट? मुझे क्या फायदा होगा कि मैं रेटिंग मैंने करवाई और मेरी रेटिंग हाई आई? तो
Are there a lot of employee related issues within the organization? It also might be on example attrition rate is very high.
Welcome to the Corner Office, your go-to podcast where we learn about the world of business, leadership and success strategies. I am Sanchit Vijay from Corporate Professionals, and today we are deep diving into a topic that's rapidly transforming the business landscape. ESG rating methodologies, everything you need to know. ESG is no more a buzzword. It is a new normal rule of applicability for the corporates of the 21st century. A sustainable business that has streamlined its system and processes shows significant confidence in its conduct over a period of time. This significance can be measured and impact can be quantified by means of rating. In today's podcast, we would be discussing in detail about the rating system and ESG rating providers, its applicability, use case and benefits. Today we have with us Mr. Ankit Singhi, Head Corporate Affairs and Compliance's Corporate Professionals. So welcome to the another episode of Corner Office, Mr. Ankit. It's a pleasure to have you here again.
Thank you. And I was not thinking I will be back so early. But good.
But no, it was a really informative conversation on ESG. We
Yes.
talked a lot about sustainability. So there are lots of other buzzwords also that are coming up alongside of ESG. And that one such buzzword is what I wanted to talk about today and start the video with that, which is ERP. What exactly is ERP? How does it matter to any company? What do we mean by ERP?
So just like there are credit rating agencies, so if you borrow money, you issue debt instrument as a company, there are a lot of requirements of obtaining a credit rating agency. And what a credit rating does, basis the rating it gives to you, it attaches that kind of a creditworthiness or importance, or talks about the financial stability, other positions of the company. So similarly on this front, like a credit rating agency rates the loan financial things, there are ESG raters who rate you on ESG parameters, on
Okay.
ESG, and these are called as ERP ESG Rating Providers. And of late in India, SEBI has started regulating these. So they are like similar to any other credit rating agency, but they don't do credit rating. Instead, they do rate you on ESG parameters.
Okay.
So they will rate you that how you're performing on an ESG, a scale of 10 to, for example, I'm just giving an example, on a 0 to 10, you are rating it.
How compliant you are.
How compliant you are, how you're performing on all these three parameters of ESG.
So I believe this ERP rating must be voluntary, or is it regulated by some code?
So it's in India, it's currently being regulated by SEBI. More so about the rating you do for listed entities. SEBI has also recently issued a consultation paper on the manner in which ERPs are regulated, and there they've also talked about that if an ERP is rating on ESG parameters an unlisted company, then they would not necessarily be regulated by SEBI. There may be other regulators, like for example, if you are regulating an unlisted NBFC, you are rating an NBFC which are regulated by RBI. RBI may come out with detailed framework as to how ESG rating will do a rating for an NBFC. So, but if you are rating for a listed entity, then you are required to be registered with SEBI, and SEBI will regulate you in terms of the regulations that they have outlined.
So let's say मैं एक कंपनी हूँ, अगर मैं अपनी ये ERP रेटिंग करवाता हूँ फ्रॉम दीज रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज एज मेंशन्ड बाय सेबी, व्हाट इज द बेनिफिट? मुझे क्या फायदा होगा कि मैं कोई रेटिंग मैंने करवाई और मेरी रेटिंग हाई आई? तो व्हाट इज द
So
बेनिफिट?
benefit is just like, for example, if you are saying that you are doing a lot of things on ESG, you are doing a reporting, integrated reporting, BRSR.
So it's just
BRI.
gauging.
So it is just, we are outlining what is there in the report, and I am telling the entire world that I am doing these things on ESG. But to authenticate that how well you are doing in terms of what you have disclosed, they kind of validate your disclosures or your efforts on ESG parameters once they rate you on these things. So that rating signifies that as to what level you are performing on those ESG parameters. So it gives you an authentication also. Like there are a lot of international rating agencies also which gives you this kind of rating. So if you have obtained that kind of a rating, you can very well go and tell anybody that I am being rated by this international rating agency provider, and that gives the investor or whomsoever is looking you from an ESG perspective to gauge you that okay, on ESG things this is how you're performing.
So let's say if I am a company A, let's say Reliance, ठीक है, and let's say Tata, मैं दोनों अपनी rating करा रहे हैं. अगर Reliance की rating आई है hypothetically 7 on 10 and Tata की rating आई है 8 on 10. So are we saying that because of Tata being rated 8 on 10 than Reliance, तो ये ज़्यादा compliant है ESG से?
So there might be also differences in terms of business. So for example, there is a manufacturing sector, there is a service sector. In case,
but हमने basically ERP rating को standardize कर दिया है.
Yes, so it may say that you are performing as a general understanding that if you're getting 8 out of 10 and somebody is getting 7 out of 10, so definitely 8 out of 10 is doing better than those who are doing 7 out of 10.
ESG की compliance और ESG जो हम code follow करते हैं, जो companies को करने होते हैं for sustainability and environmental and governance, is it practically possible to measure them? Because these are very subjective things. How?
There are subjective things, but there many things can also be rated. Like for example, in terms of emissions, you can rate emissions as to scope 1, scope 2, what is your intensity vis-a-vis the industry standard. And similarly, like in terms of on social aspects, that how you are interacting with your stakeholders, are there a lot of vendor grievances, are there a lot of employee related issues within the organization. For example, attrition rate is very high. It might be due to the nature of the industry, or it also might be on account of your practices that you're being following in the company, which might not be the best way to do or manage your resources, the human resource that you have. So therefore, you might not be, so you can be gauged on those aspects as to emissions, attrition, happiness index. For example, there's a happiness index. So how your employees are performing in terms of happiness? Are they satisfied within your organization? What kind of facilities, good measures that you're providing in terms of POSH? Are you having any POSH cases? Whether they were investigated properly? So all these things, there are many things that can be measured. There are many things that cannot be measured. But there is a way of concluding as to what all you are doing in all of these things. Okay. E is very technical, as I've also mentioned in the last podcast, that there are a lot of things like emissions. These are quantitative numbers, so you can definitely measure them much better as compared to S or G.
Okay. So, जैसे आपने बताया ये companies, कोई any names of companies who do these ERP ratings?
So, like India में तो there are, for example, I think CRISIL, there are most of the rating agencies here, they are doing ESG rating, and there are a lot of international rating agencies. But the only thing is that the rating agencies in India are regulated by SEBI. The international rating agencies, they are mostly private organizations who have developed their own methodology, which have been accepted by a particular set of industries, and they are rating agencies for companies on ESG. They are not necessarily be regulated by any regulator because they are doing rating pen
generally
pen globally. So they are not regulated as opposed to someone who is doing a rating in India as registered as an Indian rating agency.
Okay. So कोई difference है अगर मेरे को rating international से मिलती है, national से मिलती है?
So rating definitely difference होगा. जैसे for example there are CDP ratings, there EcoVadis rating. So EcoVadis is more acceptable rating like in supply chain. If you're into supply chain and you have global supply chain partners whom you want to showcase how you're doing on ESG, an EcoVadis rating will do much better. That it's an established rating that it's good for supply chain partners. Similarly, CDP is on more climate disclosures, climate related things. So there are different set of Bloomberg, Sustainalytics. They are also doing a lot of ESG ratings. Their ratings is on various parameters, including for investors who want to invest in ESG related companies. So there are various set of companies who do these things globally. They all have their own set of methodologies. There is no common set of methodologies that have been adopted by anyone because there is no standard set of methodology that have been also laid down by the regulators. Okay, that this is how you will do the ratings, and therefore they are not regulated in India because it's been regulated by SEBI. So if you are doing a rating for a listed entity in India, then you have to be registered with SEBI, and then SEBI lays down the guidelines how you rate. Methodology wise, definitely these agencies are, I believe, much longer in business in terms of rating. They also have detailed procedures which they've outlined. So there will always be difference in terms of how you get rated by an Indian agency and how you get rated by an international agency. But Indian rating agencies like CRISIL, all these are also global companies who are rating companies across the world. So difficult to say in terms of exact difference in methodology. But all of them have outlined, most of them have outlined methodologies as to how they do it.
Okay. So as you mentioned that India mein SEBI is the one who governs the ESG parameters, ESG as a code and the ERP ratings now. कोई minimum requirement hoti hai with respect to the ERP rating that this is what a company, a listed company has to achieve or something like that, or it is completely voluntary?
There is no such. Even rating agencies, like in terms of the new consultation paper, they have also talked about a concept of pay per subscriber, subscribe and pay model, where the agencies voluntarily rate other companies on ESG parameters without even going to them.
Okay.
Without even seeking any information to them. They rate based on the information that is available on a public domain or BRSR, on any other thing. And they disburse these ratings to their subscribers. For example, I have subscribed you that I want to invest in companies in manufacturing and chemical sector, for example, in chemical leather sector, and I want to understand the rating of these companies. So these credit rating agencies can also voluntarily ascertain information about them, rate them, and share these ratings with these subscribers, that this is how we are rating these companies, and you can take the judgment or decisions accordingly.
Okay. So with these ESG parameters and codes and now ERP ratings come into play, what do you think would be the angle of SEBI down the line? What all things they can give to the companies as a minimum requirement to be ESG compliant?
So, like for example, abhi top 1000 listed entities pe hai BRSR. They would extend it going forward to a larger number of people. Then they would also will like to include more detailed disclosure in the BRSR report as opposed to what is there. Even now they have also mandated assurance for top 150 companies. For this year it is top 250 companies. So that is also there. And so these are things on the rating agencies. As a SEBI, as a regulator, is always keep on evaluating its regulations, put these things for public consultation paper. For public consultation, as I mentioned, there is already a consultation paper. So it will keep on looking into these aspects if there are any teething issues or other challenges being faced by either listed companies or the rating agencies, and then they will deliberate and come out with consultation paper. So we can also see Government of India or MCA, for example, coming up with a similar kind of disclosure for unlisted companies also, because the last committee that recommended BRSR, they have also recommended a lighter version of BRSR, which they called as BRSR Light.
Okay.
It was there in the committee report, and the BRSR Light was suggested there as something which unlisted companies will opt for.
Okay.
So going forward, I think the time is not far when even unlisted company of a particular size of a turnover, they would also be required to come out with something on the lines of BRSR.
So कोई tangible benefits है of getting these companies who are getting themselves as ERP rated, और कोई financial impact जो मेरे को दिखे कि मैं अगर ये करवा रहा हूँ तो?
So rating is always good. Any rating which gauge you and gives you a good rating, it tells a lot about you, how you're doing on those parameters, and it is important for various stakeholders, important like government, for your customers, for an investor, for your supply chain partners, for all of them. It will. Today everybody is looking into these aspects with more seriousness as what they were down the line 5 years. Okay. So when you do these things, first of all, going for an ESG rating shows you that how seriously you're taking this subject, and then getting yourself rated means you're already doing something. You will not be going for a rating if you're not doing something.
Exactly.
We work with a lot of companies who want to go for a rating but they're not doing anything. So we have to make them ready, prepare them for how, when they will go for a rating, so what all things will the credit rating agencies will look into it, and we have to make them ready, prepare them, implement a kind of framework over a period of 6 months, 12 months, and then they can go and present that to an ESG rating provider, and basis which the rating agency can rate them. So therefore, all these things, whether you go for a voluntary credit rating or a voluntary ESG rating, these always gives you shows you a more positive side of your company, whether it's financial, whether it's not financial.
Right. So, as on the closing, I would like to ask you a suggestion for our viewers who are watching. Okay, let's say they have their company and they want to be rated by these ERP ratings, and they want to be more ESG compliant, and you said that there are some sort of a preparedness that is required before they get themselves rated. So, which steps what you can suggest them or advise them that they should be doing before they get themselves rated or start with their ESG journey within the
I
company?
think first and foremost is the objective, that why you want to get yourself rated. You just want to get yourself rated as you are doing something in ESG, but you are getting rated from a perspective of an investor, from a perspective of a supply chain partner, that you want to enter into a supply chain relationship with some global vendors for whom they look into ESG factors. So if you go with a rating as a rating on supply chain parameters, then they will be able to gauge you better as opposed to any other vendor who is going with them without any rating. So the objective needs to be ascertained, and then the rating agency needs to be selected from which rating agency you want yourself to get rated, international, domestic, and then try to gauge what you are doing and where are the gaps. And if you're not doing anything, then we do it everything from beginning. Create a plan, and if you're already doing things, then we try to identify the gaps, then create a plan considering those gaps, lay down a roadmap, implement them over a period of around 6 to 12 months, and then you go for a rating. Many international rating agencies also open for rating for a particular period of time. So they are not open generally for the entire year that you can go and submit a form and get rated. So many of them also open their windows open for a particular period of time. So we have to also be mindful that if you're going for a particular rating agency and if that rates you or opens it windows for a particular period of time, we have to plan accordingly so that once that window is open, we are from up till that date, we are ready in terms of what we would like to submit to that rating agency.
And how long is this rating process, preparedness that goes on to?
As I mentioned, depends upon if you are a beginner, most probably 12 months. If you are at middle stage, then 6 to 12 months is something what we look into.
Okay.
May extend it, to a more larger period, but depends upon the facts of the case, your business, what you have done, what you intend to do, how seriously you are taking this matter. All these things makes a lot of meaning in terms of to decide what kind of framework you should implement.
Great, Ankit. It was a pleasure having you, and I think we gained a lot on what exactly is ERP rating today. And looking forward for our
Thank you.
next.
Thanks for having me, and I hope I will be back soon. And it was lovely talking to you. And ESG, as I mentioned last time, ESG is something which everybody should be concerned, whether we are a businessman or as an individual. And hope to be here soon.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
And that wraps up today's episode on ESG rating methodology. We hope you gained valuable insights into why ESG rating matters and how it will impact a company's future. Thank you for tuning into the Corner Office. Stay connected with us for more discussions on the corporate world. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments what other topics you'd like us to explore. Until next time, stay informed and stay inspired.